Hey folks, today's episode is brought to you in part by soundgirls.org, working to provide a network for women and non-binary people working in the professional audio industry. Soundgirls provides an opportunity to meet and network with other industry professionals, creating a strong support network while simultaneously providing the tools, knowledge, and support to further your career. Head over to soundgirls.org and become a member today.
What's happening, roadies? This is Rena Kozak.
This is Jeff Cardone.
What's happening, roadies? This is Chris Bedry, and you're listening to Roadie Free Radio.
What's up, roadies? My name is Larry Milburn, and this is Roadie Free Radio, your VIP pass to meet and greet the stars behind the scenes of the music and film business. What is happening, roadies? Welcome back to another episode of Roadie Free Radio. This one is 173. My guest is Chris Bedry, Systems Tech for the Tedeschi Trucks Band. This is your host, Larry Milburn. I am coming at you from a barn in Northwest Connecticut. What is happening? We are rolling off a 4th of July weekend. How was everybody's weekend? Did you guys do all right? Did you have some semblance of a holiday weekend? Did you stay inside, quarantining, masking up, doing your thing, washing your hands? I don't know. Did you get out at all? I pretty much peaced out. Saturday, 4th of July, I did a bunch of chores around the house. And Sunday, not a damn thing. Laid around, rested my foot, still recovering from foot surgery and plantar fasciitis. Watched some old movies, The Land Before Time with my son. That was fun. Just took it easy, man. Took it real easy. So I hope you guys were safe. If you're listening from states that have been surging in the last week, I hope you are okay and you are healthy and you're just hunkering. You're hunkering down and getting it done so we can get through this thing. We got some beautiful happy birthday shout outs going out. We got Harvey Brooks, Eric Samuelson, Bobby Tees, Brian Gerosa, and Martu Menendez. Happy birthday to all of you out there. If I missed anybody this week, happy birthday to you as well. Want to say again, a big thank you to all of you that leave reviews over at the iTunes Apple Podcast Store. It really means a lot and it really helps us out. So if you haven't done so, take 20 seconds, head over, leave a rating, leave a review. I'll take it all, good, bad, and ugly. I appreciate all of the feedback. And if you guys have a thought for a show you want me to do or a guest you'd like me to have on, hit me up. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. Don't forget, our good friends over at Tour Supply need our help. They have been there for the roadie community, the touring community for a long, long time, headed up by Larry Martin and his great family. They've been doing a killer job through Nashville, London, New York, LA. They've got their headquarters there at the Third Encore rehearsal facility in Los Angeles, and they need our help. They've got a GoFundMe campaign going on right now. So head over to GoFundMe.com and search for Save Tour Supply, and you will find their page and make any kind of donation you can. In fact, I was thinking, buy something this week. Just go to the Tour Supply. Just pretend you're going on tour, and you got to get that fix. You know when you're looking to buy some gear or something, and it just gives you that little adrenaline rush, you just buy something? Buy a roll of tape. Buy a guitar tuner, buy a drumstick, buy something. Just go to their store and buy something. Or you can head over to GoFundMe.com, Save Tour Supply, and make a short donation. Hey, so listen, last week I talked about some folks that were doing some great stuff. I highlighted the Z Bakery in Nashville run by Zito and his wife, Kristen. And I told you guys, if you had a chance, if you're going to be in Nashville, or if you could email these guys and get some orders going to check it out. Well, check this out. Chris Foster did that, sent me an email. He popped in on them, bought some of their product, loved it. And then I heard from Zito about the exchange, and he was just super psyched. So check out the Z Bakery in Nashville, run by Zito and his wife. They've both been in the entertainment industry for a long time. During this whole pandemic, they shifted gears, got back into baking, which is another love of his, and they've been killing it at farmers markets and whatnot. And the coolest part is that they are giving back. So 50 cents, I should say, 50 cents from each cinnamon roll are donated to the Music Cares Foundation to help other roadies out there that are also out of work. All right, so let's say that again. 50 cents from each cinnamon roll that they sell are donated to the Music Cares Foundation to help other roadies out there out of work. So check them out. It's called the Z Bakery in Nashville. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram doing some great stuff. Another thing I want to let you guys know about. 2 industry giants are doing a killer show called The Wrong End of the Snake. I'm talking about Ken Pooch Van Druten and Kevin Tater McCarthy. They host a webinar exploring this is their off of their description of their show. The sometimes irrational and always spirited relationship between front of house and monitor engineers. It's a YouTube show. You can check out their Facebook page. It's called The Wrong End of the Snake. Separated by stranded copper or glass fiber, always on the threshold of feedback. Join each week as Pooch and Tater reflect on decades of highs and lows, professional tips and tricks, and occasional special guests thrown into the mix just for fun. Check it out. It's a great little show. I think you guys are going to love it. Next to last thing I want to let you know about. Liz Shaw from Recording Studio Rockstars is still offering up some great classes. I will leave links to those classes in the show notes of this episode, so head over and check it out at roadiefreeradio.com. Just look up this episode for Chris Bedry. You will see the links on his profile page. And last quick announcement here I want to give you before we get into this episode is that from now on for the foreseeable future, I don't know if I want to say the rest of the year, but we'll see. But for now, the No Roadies, No Rock and Roll stickers that I have in the merch store, 100% of sales from those stickers will be donated to Music Cares. All right. So the No Roadies, No Rock and Roll stickers, 100% of those sales, I am now going to donate to Music Cares to start getting some money out into the community in another way. I did the video for the Crew Nation thing. This is the next thing I'm going to do that I can try to do. And look, full transparency, I'm not selling a gajillion dollars worth of stickers, but it's one little way that you can also feel good through your purchase to know that that's happening. So at the end of each month, what I will do is take those total sales that I make off the stickers and just make one lump donation. And then I'll post and talk about how much we were able to donate for that month. All right. So head over, roadiefreeradio.com, go to the merch store, pick up a 3-pack of stickers, pick up a single sticker, whatever you want. Buy 50 stickers, whatever you're feeling in the mood for. If you're looking to rent some gear, check out lensrentals.com. They are the largest online rental provider for photography, videography, and lighting equipment and accessories in the United States. They have camera bodies and lenses in every format from every major manufacturer and all the audio, lighting, and support accessories needed to cover any kind of shoot, from a family holiday card to a commercial advertising job. All equipment purchase is sold within 2 years, so customers are assured their stock is always in like new condition. And they've got killer customer service. Trust me on that one. So head over to lensrentals.com. Pick out some gear that you want to try. If you want to do some live streaming or whatever it is, they've got all the stuff, audio, photo, video, the whole deal. Use the code ROADIE15, all caps, ROADIE15, to get yourself 15% off over there. All right, here we go. Mr. Chris Bedry came to me from his bunker. It was a very cool looking spot, his music room at his place during the COVID here. He is the systems tech for Tedeschi Trucks Band. We got deep into that. He spent some time with Jill Scott. He's a Long Island boy. He came up through KM Productions in Long Island, and he's done a ton of festivals and gigs, and he's just got a great work ethic and a willingness to keep honing his craft and to continue learning. 2 very important things. He's also got a heck of a beard, old Chris Bedry. And if you've got a beard and you're looking to clean yourself up underneath your mask there and you want to smell some good things under your mask, I've tried this now. Check out ShowPro Beard Co., started by live audio engineer Chris Wilson, the audio wizard on YouTube. He and his wife have created their very own unique formula of beard balm that not only performs well in terms of health and nourishment, it also provides the control, shine, and pleasant aroma that any bearded and masked professional would appreciate. These non-waxy, all-natural beard balms will leave your beard soft, smooth, and nourished. Choose from a variety of natural-smelling scents like Home Sweet Home, Morning Wood, Through the Woods, Chain Motor Oil, and of course, Original Unscented. Use the code RODIE to get 20% off your entire order over at ShowPro Beard Co. All right, that's RODIE when you check out showprobeardco.com. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Here we go. Mr. Chris Bedry.
Hit it. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie.
Hey man, you look like you're coming to me from the bottom of a warship.
Yeah, from a dungeon, huh?
Yeah, it's good. Got the blankets going and a nice leather couch.
Yeah, so this is my listening room. Hopefully, if I pick this up and spin it around, we won't
look at
lose
that.
you.
Look at that.
That's my setup.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's very cool. And it's just all sound blankets. Nothing more fancy than that.
Yeah, it's just packing blankets. What I did was I took some 2x3 and just framed out a room inside of this room in my basement and hung all these packing blankets, and seems like a pretty good way to build an acoustically friendly space with on a limited budget, you know?
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. Good stuff, dude. Now I got to tell you, you're like the second or third person who's worn a fantastic necklace. What do you got? Feathers going there?
Yeah. So these are the feathers that Derek and Sue gave us.
Oh,
and
what's the story behind this? I didn't know anything about this. I was just admiring from afar. This is a thing.
So they are. So these, I guess they're called Goro, and they're from Japan. And so I guess the story goes that when Derek was touring with Clapton had gave him one of these, and Derek continued the tradition with his band. So when I went to Japan the first time with them, I got this guy they gave to me, and the tradition continued on.
So is it only when you go to Japan?
Well, I mean, there's definitely guys on the crew that have these that haven't been to Japan. That
okay,
it's kind of
more like a welcome to the family.
Yeah, it's like a tattoo situation. This is our tattoo.
I like it.
So,
I like it.
Yeah.
You know, we recently lost Greg Looper, monitor engineer for the Allman Brothers, for Tom Petty. And when I interviewed him, he rolled up his pant leg and showed me the little mushroom tattoo on his leg.
Yeah.
Being with the Allmans, which means you're part of the family, part of the brotherhood. And the necklace seems a lot less painful.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I think Derek told me a story one time that he got dragged into the dressing room and they slapped the mushroom on his leg.
Yeah, it's good. So, you know, rite of passage, and you're part of the team, man. How are you holding up with all this craziness, dude? We are, let's see, we're recording this now. It's June 18th. And for some places, we're in phase 2, I guess, as it were, as other parts of the country start to spike because they didn't have it really beforehand, and now they're getting it, and it is what it is. How have you been weathering the storm, and where are you?
I'm in Long Island right now. It's where I live. So things here were they were pretty bleak for a while. So I'll get into the touring thing as well with this because it's kind of part of the story. So we had planned on taking a break off the road during this period of time anyway. So, Derek and Sue and the band wanted to take some time off of the road. So we finished up a tour at the Ryman on March 2nd. And
because you guys were going to do another Wheels of Soul this summer, right? That was in the works.
That's right. Yeah, it was. I was supposed to be in prep, today actually, and that was supposed to head out on the 26th. So, but between between March 2nd and June 26th, we had nothing booked. This was our downtime. And so we finished a tour on March 2nd, and Bobby Tees and Derek, we flew to New York and we did the Allman Brothers 50th anniversary show. So we were there doing like a week and a half of rehearsals, and then the show at the Garden, and then Derek and Bobby and Sue were going to do Love Rocks NYC at the Beacon like 2 days later. And the day between the Allman Brothers show and the Love Rock show, New York got shut down. Everything stopped. No gatherings larger than like 500 people initially. So I think the audience at the Love Rock show got canned, and we started hearing of a bunch of people at the Brothers show and the Love Rock show getting the virus. And
wow.
So I quarantined. I was in my house longer than I needed to be. I was in my house probably a little over a month, and I ended up driving to Georgia to hang out with my girlfriend who lives down there, and hung out down there for a little while, and came back, and Long Island's probably in phase 2, whatever that means now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely on the cautious end of things. I know that this thing is real, and I see all these people sitting outside at restaurants eating and drinking, and I'm like, get away from me, please.
Yeah.
So, I go on a walk every day, probably about 6 miles. And if I see somebody walking down the street at me, I'll cross the street. I'm not ready to get back out in public and start mingling with people I don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's definitely a freaky situation. I know several people that have been affected by it. So
yep. How'd you keep busy? What have you done, to stay busy, stay sharp? Did you take any classes? Did you do any training, or did you this is a great little vacation.
Right. Staying busy. I've definitely spent a lot of time in this room that I'm talking to you in right now, listening to records. I walk every day, like I said, about 6 miles a day. To your other point about taking classes, I feel as though, work is something that keeps my brain exercised, just especially, when I'm doing one-off gigs or I'm freelancing around when I'm off tour, putting together large IP-based audio systems there, that really exercises my brain and keeps me on my toes. And, all that went away. So D&B Sound Systems, they've been doing online webinars. I've taken quite a few of those. L Acoustics has been offering online webinars, also taken a few of those. Digico Audio Consoles has given some online webinars. So I've been taking it in where I can get it, and trying to learn something new every day,
Yeah. How's your outlook about things?
In terms of what?
in terms of what the live sound audio world touring thing is going to look like?
Yeah.
I mean, you had what? Give me the landscape of the Tedeschi tour. When that was you're gonna be in rehearsals right now, basically, and then you guys would kick off in July.
June 26th, I believe, was
June
the first
26th.
show. Yeah.
Okay, and then you roll through to the end of August.
I think it probably wrapped up the first week of August. So
okay, all right. So you had some work.
Yeah,
that was good. That's gone.
Yeah.
And any inklings of things for either them or another band or somebody that you're like, okay, I might start to get out there. Or as you mentioned, you're pretty cautious about this thing. This is very real to you. Are you like, you know what? I'm good in my bunker right here with my sound blankets for a while.
I do feel that way, but probably because I'm fairly introverted. But I'm not sure, about the way the industry is gonna come back from this. I've been in close contact with the band and the band's manager, and they're probably not forecasting getting back on the road at any point this year. Probably, going to start again next year at the earliest. And I've heard that from, several different people. Live Nation has also said that, it's probably it's not looking good until next year. But what does that look like? Are they going to open the venues at half capacity? Or are people going to be spread out in the audience? How are people going to go to the bathroom? So
well, forget the audience, right? I mean, what does that do for tour buses?
Yeah, we're a moving petri dish, spreading our germs around the country. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And those buses, they get pretty stuffy in the summertime, especially when we got 12 guys on the bus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that. Just in our world alone is, there's no social distancing at all when you're out on the road,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
it's a little bleak.
Yeah.
I feel like, with a lot of the skills that audio people have, there must be a way to pivot in some instances, for a lot of these, particularly, TV shows and whatnot, and people that need support, whether you send them something to use for shows for production, or somehow you can do it remotely, talk to them, or you go in a hazmat suit and set everything up and then split. A buddy of mine who has a production company that I work with, who does a lot of market research stuff, just released his new video on his remote interview kit, that I've seen a lot of these people do with a camera and a phone that you put into it, so you can monitor yourself and do all this stuff, and very explicit instructions on how to use everything. So I'm wondering if you think there's opportunities there to sort of spread your knowledge to people that might need it right now.
Sure. Yeah. There's obviously a bunch of artists doing live streams and such right now, and I know several people who have been involved in such things, and I just don't think that I don't think that that's going to be necessarily the future of live music. We're obviously going to go back to music and venues and stuff, but I think that for the time being, the guys that are lucky enough to have to pick up that work and help these artists get their music out there over the internet in some way or some shape or form are pretty fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not everyone. I definitely have quite a few friends who who are on their ass, so to speak, in this
Yeah.
whole thing, and they haven't worked, and a lot of these guys are independent contractors. They own small businesses, and their businesses have made nothing in the past couple months.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Staying with this COVID thing, and then I want to get off it because
Right.
I feel like every interview obviously is like, but I want to do my part to check in with people and make sure that they're okay and whatnot. As you look at, let's say, next month, the world went back to quote unquote normal, touring could start, the industry could start back up. What are some things do you think that perhaps you might do differently? I'm not talking about necessarily the social distancing stuff and the hygienic stuff. I'm talking about just other things that you might put into place were something like this to happen again. What are some things that you would do? What are some things that you think, tangible things people can do when things start back up for themselves? And what do you think the industry as a whole needs to do? I just put a whole Big Mac of shit in your plate for you to answer for me. So get cracking, man.
Yeah, I'm just an audio system tech guy, so I'm not sure that I'm necessarily qualified to make decisions about how people should, keep good hygiene and such on the road.
Well, again, I don't mean that. I mean more like revenue streams,
sure,
training to be able to adapt to different things, or push for better policies to be in place within the industry to take care of its own, that kind of stuff.
Right.
You can wash your hands however you want, Chris. I don't care.
2 happy birthdays, man.
That's right.
It's hard to say because a lot of these touring acts are I'd assume are probably operating on low margin revenues, so they probably can't keep their crews and bands employed if no matter what. Fortunately, the band I work for was fortunate enough to be able to help us out quite a bit along the way. So, I'm currently not in that position. But yeah, it's a good question because, you have Live Nation who just, Rolling Stone just released that article about, that Live Nation wanting artists to pick up the cancellation fees and the losses. And it's like that, that's just going to trickle down into the crews. So like, if you have, the top promotion company in the world, not picking up the slack and their margins are way larger than the artists that they're booking in most cases,
Yeah.
So, it's hard to say. And I think that a lot of these artists are going to do as much as they can, and spread themselves as thin as they can to help out their people. And I know that, especially in my case right now, that's what these artists are doing to help out their people. And I think I for sure am very grateful of that. And I think that, other people who are in my position as well, which is very few, are grateful of that.
Sure.
But I don't think that these artists are, out here to screw over their crews. I think they're helping out as much as they can.
Yeah. I think also you're in a unique situation in terms of the, Tedeschi Trucks organization, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough to be at a few shows and as you know, talk to Bobby and Brian. So I've had a glimpse, and just being around backstage, you get a sense of that family and familial vibe, right?
Right.
And they make their bread and butter out on the road. That's why they do like 9,000 different Wheels of Soul tours throughout the year.
Yeah.
And that's their thing. So I think for them, it's obviously very important and in their best interest to take care of you guys. And they're obviously, very kind and caring people. I think for a lot of other artists that like the tour is that once a year thing or once every couple of years, they probably don't have quite the same relationship with their crew.
Right.
Because the crew probably is different, right? 2 years later, it's like, oh, who is this? Who are these people?
Yeah.
Fix my monitor, fucker.
Right.
So they're not gonna stroke a check to you, to get you through the tough times because you're not.
Yeah, I think that most of that's I think that's probably the minority though, where you have these big artists who are only picking up tours every 2 years or so, who don't keep the same crews around,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the genre that I'm in. And and I'm sure it's the same across the board. A lot of these smaller artists, they're touring is their bread and butter. They don't make money on record sales anymore. No one's buying albums anymore. So I think a lot of these guys and girls are probably touring to make the bulk of their money. So I'm sure they have crews employed all the time, and I'm sure some people switch it up, and I'm sure there's also a lot of other people that keep it the same and have the same people around them all the time.
So, all right. Thank you, COVID. We've buttoned up the COVID thing for now. Let's get off that. Systems tech. You started at KM Productions, is that right? Is it
KM Productions.
Is that where Bobby came out of also?
Bobby and Brian Spicer both worked for SK Systems.
SK, okay.
Who's also a sound company out of Long Island, who I also worked for, coming up in the industry here and there. Tom Heinisch, the guy who owns it, is a brilliant mind in the industry and a great mixer, great engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And he really taught all three of us quite a bit over the years and mentored us along the way. Another guy who I'd imagine mentored Brian a bit, huge mentor to me, mentor to Bobby, was a guy who worked for SK back in the day, was a guy named Chip Shaka, who's now one of the head tech support guys over at Group One, who is the distributor for Digico consoles. So that guy in particular taught me pretty much everything I know, and I'm sure he taught a bunch of other people quite a bit as well, including Bobby and Brian.
Tech stuff aside, with someone like Chip, give me a couple of things that you pulled from him.
Oh man, it's hard to say right off the top, being put on the spot like that. But I think he had quite a few just hacks that he used to do. I remember one thing that comes to mind in particularly was having a show in Times Square, and it started to rain, and he got a buddy of mine went to the store and got shower curtains, because we didn't have tarps or anything, and Chip covered everything with shower curtains to keep it from getting wet. So that's the kind of guy Chip was. He's just innovative all the time. Always found a solution. He's a great problem solver.
Yep. What is it about being a systems tech? What led you into being a systems tech? Are you wanting to work your way to, front of house, monitors, one of those things, or do you like the world you're in? What brought you there?
Yeah, I think that the two jobs go very hand in hand. I obviously, I think maybe I got into it probably the same reason everybody gets into it, to mix on a big huge world tour and drug, sex, and rock and roll. But that's not what it's all about. I think I probably fell into the system tech role just naturally being a good problem solver, more so than mixing. But I would say that one takeaway that I have from being a full-time touring systems tech is when I was working full-time for a sound company or freelancing around the New York market, is I got to mix a lot more, and I don't necessarily get to mix that much when I'm on tour anymore. I get to mix an opener here and there.
You hear that, Brian? Give the kid a chance. Fuck Spicer.
No, I mean, which is it's great because but it's I tell people this all the time. It's they're like, oh, you must have the coolest job in the world. You're touring around with a rock and roll band and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like every other job. It's got its ups and its downs, and you got to be really good at it, or else you're not going to be there. And it's got its drawbacks as much as it's got its appeasal.
And really, there's only about maybe 2 hours of the job that's pretty cool when the band's on, right? And even then your adrenaline spiked and you're working and troubleshooting and just, fingers crossed most of the time. But sure, the rest of the time you're in a bus or you're loading in or out.
Right. I think if I'm troubleshooting while the band is on, I probably didn't do a good job that day.
Right. Then there's that.
Yeah, it's funny because when I have friends come out to shows, I stand on stage for most of the show, and I'll get into that in a little more in a minute. But for most of the show, I'm standing on stage just watching the band, and kind of waiting for something to go wrong on the stage, and my friends that come out to shows are like, well, you do nothing. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're only here for the show. I've been here all day,
right,
setting shit up, and if you see me scrambling around during the show, something's wrong, and I probably didn't do a good job that day.
Yeah.
So
where are you standing during the show?
So here's the thing with Tedeschi Trucks. All of us wear multiple hats throughout the day, and that's how we keep our jobs, I guess. We got a relatively small crew for the operation that we got going on, and we all have to take up multiple gigs throughout the day. So for quite a long time there was no monitor tech, and Bobby was the only one on stage mixing monitors and teching Derek's guitar. And if anything went on wrong on stage, he was the guy. And there's also Ryan, who's Susan's guitar tech and the overall backline tech. But if something with an instrument went wrong, Ryan could hop in. But if it was audio related, Bobby's the only one. So, I got, I kind of became the stage tech through all that during the show, helping Bobby out on stage where, if Derek's amp blew up, somebody needed to be behind the monitor board, or, if something went awry on stage, somebody needed to be out there to fix it while Bobby was behind the board mixing monitors or, fixing a broken string on Derek's guitar. So I kind of got drawn into that situation a little bit. And, there's a monitor tech nowadays. But I still kind of fill in that role during the show.
Let's say, because I went to, I don't know if you were with these guys at that point, but I saw them up at not Fairfield Meadows, Simsbury, Connecticut, something like that.
Yeah, that was like
3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, with the Wood Brothers and Hot Tuna.
Uh-huh.
Great show.
Yep.
And
I think that might have been the first tour ever that we brought out a monitor tech.
Well, I was going to say, I think that was the show I got to stand. Oh, and Carol was there. Bobby Carroll. Yeah. Bobby Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Tees brought me out at one point to stand next to him during that show. And I don't remember if there was a tech around or where there even would have been a tech, but I remember that there was behind the band, like behind the singers, because there's a pretty decent amount of room on that stage. There was like 3 or 4 people hanging out back there.
Yeah.
Sort of out of sight, obviously. And I also remember, I think that was a show during our interview, Bobby, we were talking about his guitar teching side of things. I remember being back in the wing there, and he was like getting all the guitars tuned up, and then he'd pop out on stage and like do a little monitor thing, and he'd pop back before the show. But then he told me that Derek a lot of times will change his own strings. If he plays a string, and sure enough, he blew a string and just sat down. The song was going and quickly and got right back into it. And but even at the were you at the oh my God, with Amy Helm opening at the Capitol?
Sure, yeah.
In fact, aren't you in? I think you're in the video that I did for Crew Nation. I think I got a shot of one of you guys out of front of house. I think it's you, but no beard and shorter hair.
Yeah. This is the quarantine look.
Yeah, right. No, I just shaved all my shit off like 3 days ago. But yeah, so I don't remember seeing any tech up there on stage or back around there. So I guess
that probably means that. Yeah, I was just gonna say that probably means I was doing my job all right that day. You didn't see me, and nothing went too awry on stage, so I probably did all right that day.
How the hell does Bobby hear anything with that phone? He's got that phone, right? Don't you guys? It looks like a regular phone, and a light goes off on it or something, and he's talking, and I'm like, how do you hear anything? Do with the other person yelling like?
Yeah, so that system's called a ClearComm system, and it's built to do exactly that, clear communication. And you'd be surprised how clear you can speak to somebody over the phone with that thing going on. It's got a little kill switch on it, so the mic on the phone is shut off unless you're holding it down.
Right.
So that keeps the line clear while other people are speaking.
Yeah.
And
is that just between him and like front of house, Brian?
So in our rig, we have the one in Monitor World, one in front of house, and one on stage right, Guitar Tech World, which is Ryan Murphy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Jumping from K&M, like working a bunch of places, being at a production company, and through that working at all these different places, and then hopping on a tour. Tell me about that, like what it felt like to kind of get your first tour and go out there and like pack the bag and be like, all right, I'm going.
Yeah. probably one of the scariest moments of my career.
Yeah.
You know, I was pretty young when I started touring, and Chip was actually my predecessor in this gig. And you know, he had got the job with Digico, and he had recommended me to Brian and Bobby to do the gig. And you know, I knew my way around D&B audio systems, which is what we were using. I knew my way around Digico consoles pretty well. But you know, it was a whole new world for me. You know, from just living on the road on a tour bus to the way that we do things technically, it was just a whole different world, something that I'd never fathomed before. You know, working, you know, freelancing around the New York area, you show up to a gig, a truck shows up with some gear in it, and you slap it together whatever way you can. Hopefully they send all the parts to make it happen. And you know, touring is a whole different world. You know, you're putting the same thing together in the same way, in the same order every single day, you know. And you know, it's a completely different world than that. And I think that once I, you know, once I got the way of living down, and the way of, you know, doing a touring load in and load out down, you know, it became second nature. I, you know, especially nowadays, I can do that in my sleep.
Did you take to it pretty quickly? Life on the road?
It definitely took quite a few tours of adjustment. It wasn't something. Yeah, it wasn't something that came easy, especially because, you know, I stepped into a role where, you know, I wouldn't say I was green, but I would say that I was unexperienced, and certainly not as experienced as Brian and Bobby. And I stepped into a role where, you know, Brian and Bobby are two guys who are very meticulous and want things done a certain way, and you know, are used to doing these things their way. This is their gig. It's been their gig for so long. And you know, I'm also one to do things my way. So you know, it took a long time, I think, for us to coexist. And you know, I definitely had to you know, to do things their way for quite a while before they trusted me to do things my way.
Yeah.
And you know, so that added to the growing pains of getting out on the road. As opposed to, you know, if I were to start touring for an act that, you know, just booked a tour, and all these guys on the crew are new to each other, and I was sent out from a sound company, you know, it's easy. It might have been easier for me to adapt in that situation, because, you know, all those people are new to each other, and they don't necessarily have a way of life down on their gig at that point in time, you know?
Yeah.
So I think because I had to adapt to the way Brian and Bobby wanted things done, it added a bit of growing pains in my situation, for sure.
Yeah. Those guys, as you mentioned, they are deep in the family, as it were, particularly Bobby.
Yeah.
He's probably at Derek and Susan's place right now, patching something, fixing something. What have you learned from those guys?
I had so much, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably something new every day. Especially since, since I started getting my gig down with Brian, and I had like more time to really take in what was going on. Bobby is doing mad scientist shit up on that stage a lot of the time, with taking apart, hand-wired amplifiers and stuff. And even Ryan too, Susan's guitar tech. I really learned a lot about the backline world from those guys, just observing and helping them out where I can with all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those guys, they're, I know everybody says this about their touring crew, but they really are the best out there. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty solid, man. Pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
Were you a Tedeschi fan before you went out there?
Yeah, I knew the band. I dug what they were doing. So yeah, I was a fan.
Favorite show and place, was there
favorite
one
place for a show or a specific show?
Well, let's do both of those.
Okay. I think the best show I've probably ever seen the band play was at the Orpheum Theater in Boston in 2017. I want to say 2017 or 2018. But every year we play the Orpheum in Boston at the end of the year. It's the last 3 shows of the year, usually beginning of December at some point in time. And those shows always rock. They're killer shows every year.
Better than the Beacon shows.
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah.
Yeah. Which I still have not been to.
Yeah, you got to come out to one.
Oh my God. I know.
You know what it is though? Being the systems tech, and even for Brian, we like doing the show on our rig, and
oh, right.
And so the Beacon doesn't let us use our rig, so
right.
So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
But I think there's a few spots that we do residencies at that I really dig. The Orpheum in Boston, those shows always end up sounding amazing. The shows at the Warner Theater in DC that we play every year,
mm-hmm.
that venue sounds incredible. I find myself making 1 or 2 cuts on the PA every year that we're there.
Yeah.
Which is, anybody that is inept to tuning PAs knows that, if you're only putting 1 or 2 cuts on the PA, that's a good day,
Speaking of the Warner Theater, were you at the Warner Theater in Torrington, Connecticut show that was broadcast through CPTV?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was there for that.
Yeah, that was a long time back though.
Long time back. That was I don't even think I even started the podcast at that point.
Yeah, that had to have been that. Those were my early days with the band, probably. Yeah. 2015.
I was gonna say that's like 4 years ago, easy, because I just had the 4th anniversary of the show. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, it must have been around 2015. You're right.
Yeah,
that was good stuff. That's where I first noticed that little film projector amp thing. I think that Susan was playing through, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's like a film projector with the speaker that Bobby modified, something like that.
Yeah,
little box, super cool.
Yeah, they got a bunch of little amps, little vintage amps that they pull out from time to time, especially if they're doing an acoustic set. You'll see some pretty cool stuff that they'll pull out and play through.
Yeah.
Which we actually just started doing again. when I first started with the band, they were playing an acoustic set here or there, and that got scrapped for a long time. And we just started doing it again, and I think that it's been great.
Yeah.
Are
they doing? I haven't sort of checked in on their main social media pages. Are they doing any live stream stuff from home? Like you see Grace Potter doing her midnight Mondays or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, so they're not doing anything live and new at the moment. What they have been doing is broadcasting a show from our archive live on YouTube or Nugs or whatever it is, or maybe both, every Thursday night. So it's like Swamp Family TV on YouTube.
That's right.
And they'll broadcast a previous show in its entirety live on YouTube every Thursday night.
That's right. So Brian must be behind some of that, or Brian and Bobby working on those.
Yeah, I think and another guy who's close to the family, Jesse Water, mix engineer, producer guy, helped us out a bunch with a bunch of projects over the years. I'm pretty sure he's been putting together the mixes, and I'm sure it's being approved by Brian and Bobby as well,
Yeah. Chris, obviously the money is just incredible out there on the road. Let's not kid ourselves. But what do you miss most these days about being out there?
Just I think that I probably just miss my gig. I'm a very very introverted, like I said, and a very scheduled person. And touring, I do the same thing at the same time every single day, and I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm home, I wake up and I'm like, well, what am I going to do today? Whereas out on the road, I wake up, do the same thing every day, wake up, get my little bag, go into the venue, clean up, get out into the venue and take some measurements and draw the venue in a vector program called Array Calc, and figure out how I'm going to put together the PA that day. And then at that point all the guys are starting to trickle in, and trucks starting to get dumped, and I start flying the PA and do my thing, and it's the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And
what's your favorite part of the day?
I depending on how hot it is outside, I enjoy flying the PA and putting it together.
Do you?
Yeah, depending on how hot it is.
Yeah.
I'm a very...
You don't like that heat thing?
No. I'm not yeah. I can lift my arm and break a sweat, you know what I mean?
I do. I don't respond well, especially humidity and I do not mix. Dry heat on the West Coast, that was awesome, but this shit's another thing, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I really enjoy, and another thing I enjoy is, when I first turn on the PA, so I'll timeline it or whatever, and then I use virtual sound check. So, I think the most critical part of the day is when I turn on the mains and the subs, and I'll have all the vocals muted on the sound check song, and just the band coming in as I'm slowly bringing up the level of the mains and subs, and how that sounds to me. I can tell if it's going to be a good day or not.
Really? Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
If it sounds nice and warm and full, it's going to be a good day. Because I haven't even touched the PA yet. It's just time aligned. I haven't done anything to really make it sound good.
Yeah. What give us like your worst nightmare moment that's happened, if you got one.
There's plenty for sure. You had mentioned Amy Helm.
Yeah.
Before. What show was that you were talking about?
That was at the Capitol Theater probably 2-ish years ago. I'm trying to think if anyone opened up for Amy, but I don't think so. It was an Amy Helm show. Tash was playing guitar. Byron Isaacs was on bass.
Was it? But it was a Tedeschi Trucks Band show, right? Her band was opening for us.
Yeah, they just opened. Yeah.
Yeah. So our typical bill is either we're playing an evening with, or we have one opener, unless it's the Wheels of Soul tour or a festival.
Yep.
It might have been that show. It was a show where Amy and her band were opening, and
there was a moment, and maybe this is why for you, because I remember there was a moment at that show. I think I happened to be backstage with Bobby and his side.
Yep.
And something bad was happening, and he was on that phone, and like he was scrambling, and other people were scrambling back there doing something, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. So it was probably that show. It was definitely Amy Helm opening. So probably halfway through her set, all the monitors go out. Right. There's no sound on stage. Front of house is rocking and rolling though. And so the way our rig is set up is we use Digico consoles, and we have an opticore loop between the two consoles, and we're gain sharing off of one rack of preamps. So, so Digico consoles sometimes here and there will have the opticore PCB card pop off of the main motherboard inside of the console, and you'll lose audio output from the console.
Wow.
And that happened mid-show. And
during Amy's set or during your
during
guys'
Amy's set?
Whoa.
And I took apart the console in the middle of the show and fixed it and put it back together. It was pretty stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine. That would be kind of a problem.
Yeah.
I think now that I think about it too, I think for most of Amy's set, I was out actually in the house. So you would have done that on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I think I was.
And Amy keeps looking over like, still no monitors.
Right.
And I have the console and 27 pieces on the side of the stage. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm working on it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So that'll take a few years off your life there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. That's crazy. Well, Chris, man, this has been awesome, dude.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate
Likewise.
you taking a break from your 6-mile walk and listening to endless stuff in the listening room down there. What do you got? What were you listening to today? Did you listen to anything?
I just got the new Sasha Dobson record in the mail, which sounds very amazing. It's her and Don Was on bass, and I'm not sure who's on the drums off the top of my head, but it's a 45, and it sounds really, really good.
Wow!
So shout out to Sasha Dobson. She's
cool.
Listening.
What else have you been listening to?
I just got the new Norah Jones record, so I don't know if you know who Sasha Dobson is, but she plays in a band with Norah Jones called Puss in Boots.
Okay.
And I'm a huge Norah Jones fan, so that's how I got onto Sasha. So those two have been spinning a bunch.
You've been keeping it real mellow during this quarantine.
Yeah, of course.
You've been keeping it real mellow. It's a little Norah Jones.
Yeah, I've been listening to quite a bit of jazz recently as well. Some Kenny Burrell, some Coltrane.
Yep.
Some Getz, Gilberto stuff, Charlie Bird.
Nice.
Thelonious Monk. A lot of good stuff.
That's fantastic. How is the rest of the band doing?
They're hanging in there, doing their thing, you know. I was just on a Zoom chat with the crew and Susan the other day, and yeah, we're all hanging in there, just taking it day by day, I guess.
Cool.
You know, we're all kind of at a loss at this point, I guess.
I bet. I'm hoping that the silver lining.
Yeah.
Even though they might not have a place to play any of these great songs, is that all these people are out there writing great fucking songs during this time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I know Sue had said that she was writing some tunes and yeah, a couple other Mike Madison's been writing some tunes as well. So
good. That guy could sing me a lullaby.
Oh, he's amazing.
And I would be in heaven.
It's great.
Yeah, he's awesome, man.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Yeah, and I think that I think that's probably what everybody's doing right now. Just trying to stay busy in any way that they can. You know, I talked to. I've been making it a point to reach out to, you know, a bunch of people, especially if I haven't reached out in a while. And I reached out to some of the people that I was on the Jill Scott tour with. And you know, I talked to John Smeltz. He's front of house engineer for Jill Scott, Lauryn Hill, et cetera, et cetera. And he was like, yep, just trying to stay busy. He does a bunch of session work too in the R&B world. So he said he's doing some sessions, and he's got an archival gig somewhere. I'm not sure for who, but you know, he said that he's been doing quite a bit of the archival work for that gig. And talked to Dietrich Lohman, who was the production manager on the Jill Scott tour. He is now the production manager for the Seth Meyers show, I believe. Questlove's drum tech for many years. And yeah, so I think that he's probably trying to figure out how to make that, or he's figured it out already, but, you know, just keeping up with how to make that thing happen from home, you know? So,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Chris, dude, I thank you so much for being on and for sharing your journey with us, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. I wish you all the best, and the band and the crew all the best. And when this thing is done, which it will be, I'm going to come find you.
Yeah. Gotta come out to a show. It's been a while.
All right, Chris, you stay strong, my man. Folks, stay tuned next week, episode 174. My guest is John Guarnieri, Chief Operating Officer for Silver Spear Security. We talk about the Secret Service. We talk about serving your country and doing it, getting it done. You can follow us during the week at Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Spotify, all as Roadie Free Radio. Check out the website, roadiefreeradio.com. Send me a note, because you know I want to hear from you. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. And my friends, in the meantime, y'all be safe out there. No roadies, no rock and roll.